Luke chapter 16, and we're going to read, and then we're going to go to Proverbs after we've prayed, and we're going to look at several verses in Proverbs as we talk about tonight about sluggards and slothful people. Sluggards. See, what's a sluggard? Okay, how many know what a slug is? Just add "erd" to it. See, what's a slothful person? How many know what a sloth is? You ever go to that? I didn't know what a sloth was. I was at a zoo once, and they said, that's a sloth. A sloth is an animal, I don't know, about this big, full grown, and it moves just like this. I'm like, how can it eat? I hope it doesn't have to catch animals or bugs. It's got to be a vegetarian, okay? The Bible talks about slothful people, and the Bible talks about sluggards, okay? And when you talk about money and you talk about learning, what we're reading Luke 16 about unrighteous mammon, be friends, okay? And we're going to see how being a sluggard doesn't help you to learn about unrighteous mammon. Look at Luke 16 again, verse number 1. This is from last week. And he said unto his disciples, there was a certain rich man which had a steward or a manager, and the same was accused unto him that he had wasted his goods. We are going to save in our church. By the way, this is helping me to be a better pastor in the sense of being a better steward. And I'm not doing it. I'm just, we have people in our church right now doing it. But have you seen the recyclable trash cans that we have now? How many have seen those? Okay. No, we're not becoming environmentally friendly. We're not against that, but that's not why we're doing it, okay? What we're doing is we're trying to save money. We literally are going to go from 8 times 9, $7,200. Was it $850, Mary? $850? So about $8,000 a year for our trash to about $1,200 a year, okay? Now you say, well, what's the big deal? That means we have about $7,000 that maybe we can use for tracts to get the gospel out. Or maybe we can use some of that money for starting a English school in Laos so we can get people saved. Okay? By the way, help us. Don't be a sloth. Don't be a sluggard. There's two trashes there, and one says paper and one says trash. Use that. Okay? So wasted, and we do waste. By the way, you know what we're going to do also to even get a little bit more money? Instead of having the garbage people take the paper, by the way, you know why they do that? If we have one trash can with trash and then the rest with recyclables, what they do is they don't charge us for that one. Isn't that nice of them? Of course. They go get money for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go get the money for it. Okay? So, hey. That's just being good stewards. So he said, this steward had wasted his goods, verse 2. And he called him and said unto him, by the way, right now we have a bunch of insurance guys. We have our insurance company. They're nervous. I mean, it's expensive for insurance around here, okay, for this property. And we have some of the staff, not all the staff, have health insurance and the different insurances, and then we have car insurance and so forth. Man, we got an insurance battle going on right now. I mean, pretty soon they're going to pay us to insure our cars. But we've contacted them, and you want to do the same thing. And he called, verse 2, called him and said unto him, how is it that I hear this of thee? Give an account of thy stewardship. By the way, when we die, we give an account of our stewardship. For thou mayest be no longer steward. He got fired. Then the steward said within himself, what shall I do? For my Lord taketh away my stewardship, and I cannot dig. By the way, he can dig, but he's one of those sluggards. Okay? To beg, I'm shamed. He's proud. He says, I'm resolved what to do. By the way, those are key words. I'm resolved what to do. He figured it out. That when I am put out of the stewardship, they may receive me into their houses. So he called every one of his Lord's debtors unto him, and said unto the first, how much owest unto my Lord? And he said, 100 measures of oil. And he said unto him, take thy bill, and sit down quickly, and write 50. Then said he to another, And how much owest thou? And he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said unto him, Take thy bill, and write 80. And the Lord commended the unjust steward, because he had done wisely. For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. And I say unto you, make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness. Okay? That when you fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitations. He that is faithful in that which is least, he's talking about money, is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. If therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? By the way, true riches aren't necessarily money. Say, what is true riches? True riches is God giving us what we need. Okay, God knowing how to bless us. That's what true riches is. In verse 12, and if ye, maybe it's money for some at times, and if ye have not been faithful in that which, verse 12, is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. And the Pharisees also, who were covetous, heard all these things, and they derided him. Father, help us tonight as we are just attempting to be friends tonight and last Sunday and probably a couple more Sunday nights with unrighteous mammon. It takes money to take care of our family. It takes money to get missionaries to the mission field. It takes money to get souls saved. It takes money to have lights in a building. It takes money to take care of our children. It takes money to put our children in a Christian school. It takes money to get a bus kid in school. We need to understand a little bit more about money and what you say about money and how to make money and how to save money and how to invest money and how to use money, Lord, for your purpose. We can't compartmentalize our life. Money and then God and this and that. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. You can be seated. I'm going to review just a little bit. By the way, learning about unrighteous mammon will help us on the mission field. Here's an example. Missionary Jeff Lang. Has Jeff Lang been in our church? Jeff Lang, he's been in our church. When we first, or not when we first, I don't know if it's when my wife was with us. When we went to Southeast Asia, we met Jeff Lang. He's a veteran missionary to Thailand, and he's also started the Hmong church in Thailand, where he sent for Brother Jay several years ago. But he's been a missionary to Thailand, and he told me what they're doing. Look, when you're on the mission, the native national people, they have to work long hours to survive. 12 hours a day. He said, do they have Saturdays and Sundays off? Off is not, it doesn't work like that. Okay? And so what happens is, because they have to spend so much time just sustaining themselves, they have a hard time serving the Lord. They have a hard time being faithful in church. They have a hard time going out and being a servant of the Lord, because it's just survival. So one thing, we're talking about becoming friends, okay, with unrighteous mammon. So what Brother Jeff Lang has done, I don't know how organized it is, but what he's done is he's organized a non-interest loan program for some of the faithful Christians. Let's say my son, he was a Cambodian guy, and he really loves God and serving the Lord. He's like, man, I got 5 children, and I've got to work in the marketplace every day, but I really want to serve the Lord. Now, instead of just giving them money, what they're doing, this is, here again, thinking wisely, finances. They'll loan them, no interest, they'll loan them $500 and say, look, this is for a business. For them, for some of them, now, again, my brother made it real clear. in the third world, you have the rich and the poor. And by the way, the rich over there, they're richer than us. You see all those buildings around there? They're owned by the rich. Okay? But anyway, most of the people that you're working with are the poor. And they're just surviving. They've got their own chickens, and they got their own, farm and all this. But they'll loan them. They'll say, now look, we're Christians, and we trust this guy. He's faithful and growing in the Lord, but he just doesn't have time to serve the Lord. He can't go on a bus route on Saturday. He's man, my kids are going to starve. And they'll loan him $500, and they'll get some training for them on how to take care of pigs. And they'll get, I don't want to call them pigs, sows, whatever they are. They get, 6 or 8 pigs and say, listen, breed these pigs. Here's a pig farm. He'll train you. You breed these pigs. Now you got your own pig farm, okay? And now what you can do, instead of you go working for somebody else, instead of you going to help this guy in his pig farm or this guy in his rice farm, whatever, now you have your own. And so now what we've done, and by the way, they just to train them not to want handouts, they give the $500 back once they get enough profit to pay it back. Now this guy has his own business. Now he's not working for 50 cents a day or $1 a day. And now he has more time for the Lord. He's taking care. You say, what is that? Making friends with unrighteous mammon. The Lao national pastor, he's wanting to start a fish farm. And the fish farm, look, he has 6 people living at his house, the college students? 6, and him and his wife, 7. There's 9 people living in his house. That's the house, that's the church, that's the Bible college, it's the dormitories, it's everything. Now, it costs, you got to feed these people, and they're all in Bible college. Now, what he's trying to do is he's trying to start a fish farm. And I don't know what a fish farm is. I guess you have a farm with fish. There's probably water there too, okay? So you say, why? Because they eat fish. And then what they do, they have, okay, wow, I forgot all about this. The first time when I went with, I think it was Brother Board and a few people, we went to, in Thailand, Chinese people, we got our Chinese people over there, Chinese people, Christian people were in Thailand. Was it Thailand? Yes, Thailand. They're in Thailand, and they had this huge farm. They had a fish farm. They had regular agricultural farm. They had cows. And what they did is it was like if I remember, it was like a men's home. And what they did is they started it, and it wasn't to make money to put in their pocket. It was for ministry. And so when we're talking about money, we're not just talking about money put in our pocket, so I got an extra few dollars so that we can go to In-N-Out Burger after church, though that's a part of the scriptures. Learning about money helps in many. I talked to someone this past week, a single guy. Hey, single guys. You know if you want to get married, you know what you got to do? Believe it or not, you got to get your own place. You ever thought where you're going to live with her? Okay. You got to get your own place. Okay. And you got to get a piece of paper out. You got to get a pen out and say, okay, how much is rent? Have you ever thought, you haven't paid rent your whole life. You're 40. You haven't paid rent all your whole life. Okay. By the way, that mom and dad, that's why you ought to charge your single sons rent. Okay. And now all the single guys just went into a cocoon. Got a rent. I see Brother Ritt back there in April. Look, the guy's got to take care of his family. I mean, you got a baby now. Okay? And you say, and what do? How much? You got to pay rent. You single guys, you're going to get married someday. Who am I? But I would say get some life insurance. So if you die, your wife and her new husband can have a better time than you had. Okay? You got to pay some bills. Okay, you might have some children. Hey guys, you got to learn this. And I know this isn't church or this isn't a finance class, but Jesus said, make friends with unrighteous mammon. You got to do that. By the way, hey dad, some guy says, I want to marry or I want to court your daughter. You know what you do? How much money you got? By the way, if you're some of our cultures in our church, you can't get her for less than $5,000. By the way, I like Cambodian style. You're going to marry my daughters, I become Cambodian. 10,000 a piece, so you ain't getting them. Okay, my blondes are 12,000. And if they play piano, they're 14,000. But hey, Dad, you want to ask this? Oh, yeah, I'm interested in your daughter, and I'm a man of God. Look, we're going to get to the man of God, but there's another M, money. What kind of job do you have? How much money you make? By the way, we don't mean he's got to, pamper her and get her and do this, but you got to pay rent, you got to feed her, you got to take care of, and you got to pay the bills. By the way, the number one, other than adultery, the number one cause for marriage problems is money. Money. You say, well, what do you mean money? Pressure in a marriage causes problems when it comes to finances. And there's some couples, they are business partners. They're always talking about money and how are we going to do this, and I don't know how we're going to do this. Listen, there's no time to be romantic. Spend time to talk, dream together, talk about the family. Say what it is. What is it? You didn't pay this. Oh, that's this. Yeah. Okay. Church planning. Okay. You say, well, what's it going to take for church planning? It's going to take money. It's going to take money. And so we're going to jump in. We're going to just review for a little bit. We said we should not worry about money. I'm going to just tell you this. Look, we support many missionaries. We support, I don't know if I've ever said this before. I think we have. We support Brother Board. He's like a staff member, $2,000 a month. You say, why? He's the team leader over there. He's like a staff member of our church. Plus, all of our missionaries from our people are $250 a month, okay? We support them. We support other missionaries. We have Monterey Park. That is a financial, right now we're trying to get Monterey Park 24/7, and we're trying to, I heard you in there. Were you doing the Christmas gift for Jesus? And then Brother Kyle, he was in Monterey Park, and he was talking about money. I always talk about money in church. We're always talking about, it takes money to get the ministry going, okay? And by the way, pastors that are afraid to talk about money, they don't go forward. Okay? Money, you got to talk about money. But we shouldn't worry about it. It's hard. We got to trust God. Philippians 4:6. Be careful for nothing. Don't worry. If we have God's mind about money, there'll be a lot less worrying. Okay? If we take care of it. We must understand that God is in charge of the economy. Okay? Again, Brother Gibbs said, listen, folks, the people in the White House, his words were, they don't know what they're doing. Okay, and I won't go into this. I gave the high school and junior high a little political economics class, and they got real bored. But but God's in control. God can turn things around. So we want to make, when we talk about money, we want to make first and foremost, God is first place in our life. We don't compartmentalize things. We don't, I'm not going to, I don't want God in my money right now because I don't have much. Then we said there's never a better time to put God first in your finances like now. By the way, God wants the first fruits. Never give God the leftovers. When we tithe, we don't, and you say, well, I thought you weren't talking about giving. I'm not talking about giving. We're talking about making friendship with unrighteous mammon. Our money, my family, we don't decide if we're going to tithe. We'll decide if we're going to pay our mortgage payment. Okay, we'll decide how much food we have. We don't decide. You say why? God wants to be what, class? Can you say first? Matthew 6, by the way, he said if you put him first, he'll take care of you. Matthew 6:19 through 33. He says, seek him first, and he'll take care of us. And so then we said this series is to help all of us to have God's true riches. We read there, if therefore ye have not been faithful in unrighteous mammon, who will commit to you, to your trust, the true riches. Then we said this series is to help all of us to take care of our own. How many single men? Raise your hand. Single men. Single men. Single men. Put it up. Put it up. Single men. Single men. Single men. If you're a man and you're single, okay, let's say 16 and over, you're single. Put it up. Put it up. Now look, guys, I'm just going to tell you, it's a lot better if you get them married. Lonely going to that house. Come on, man. You got, It's lonely. Okay? But look, you're going to have to learn how to take care financially of I can't wait, and we're going to have family devotion. She's not going to read Bible with you, and you ain't paying the bills. Well, we're just going to have such a spiritual time, and we're going to walk with. She ain't walking with you. She's going to be waiting at the door saying, the landlord said you didn't pay rent again. Is that true? Well, I got to, and you go through the A-E-I-O-U's. 1 Timothy 5:8, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. If you don't take care of your own family, you're worse than an infidel. Okay? And so this series will help us take care of our family. This series will enable us to invest in eternal investments. Okay? We talked a little bit about that. This parable, we said, is teaching us that we are also sometimes stewards, or that we too are stewards of everything that we have. We're stewards. Everything that we have, we are stewards. God's the owner, we're the manager. Okay? You got unexpected money. Yes, I got this. I gave an illustration last week. I got a few $1,000s from somebody. Just, they left the church and they just sort of want to be nice to me. By the way, if you leave the church and want to be nice to me, bring money, all of you can leave. That was pretty nice. I'm just kidding. Stacks of $100 bills, I'll take it. But you know what I did? I said, we're going to use this for vacation. You know what I should have done? Let's pray to see what God wants me to use with this. Okay? And but it was a wonderful vacation. We said this parable is to teach us that we too at times we waste. And then we said this parable teaches us that we should work on our financial situation in a diligent way. Okay? When you're not, look, you either say, I don't know what to do with my finances. I'm having a struggle. You either have to increase your income or decrease your outgo. It's not that complicated. Okay? You know what that might mean? Sell your car. Say, what do you mean? Sell that nice car that you have, you 21-year-old that have that like almost brand new car. I was 44 before I got a brand new car. Getting a little quiet. I better go to the next point. I was 44, and I didn't buy it. The church bought it for me. I was 44. We got 21. Wow, look at that. Go to their house. They don't have any furniture. No food in the refrigerator, but they got a brand new car. Okay? Quit trying to please people that don't even like you. And all they did is got jealous when you got that new car. What's the deal? Anyway, where were we? That was fun. But this parable teaches us that we should work on our finance. You say, work? What do you? That's what this unjust steward did. Okay? Work on it. I mentioned last week, Ronnie got me doing organic lemons. By the way, you start getting healthy, it's expensive, man. I'd rather die early and at least I'm not broke, but organic lemons. And my wife's like, they're like $1 a piece for a lemon. Forget it, I'll have dirty organs. My wife got on, I forgot what she called, Free Cycle. Free organic lemons. We got more lemons at our house than we know what to do with. Okay, you say, by the way, some people say, well, I'm just too good for that. Okay, if you can save a little money so that you can maybe be a little bit more of a blessing to your wife, maybe you might have to humble yourself. Okay, well, I just don't do that. My children, my boys, our boys have been to Kentucky, they've been to Indiana, they've been to where else? North Carolina on basketball tournament. Oh, Pastor, you're rich. I've never paid a penny. Never paid a penny. I say, listen, you guys, if you're going to a school event, a basketball league, I say, you got to pay for it. They don't have jobs. They sell candy. Well, I'm too good for that. Then you don't go to the tournament. By the way, it teaches them the value of the dollar. Don't just give it to them. Say, well, we don't do that. We'll give them some work or something. Work it out somehow. My wife told me that Carolina Barker. Carolina Barker is the coupon queen. Coupon queen. She doesn't only get coupons to save, she goes there, and when she leaves, she has free goods, and she didn't pay a penny. I don't know if Carolina's around here, but talk to her. Well, we just don't use coupons. We're just too good for that. Cut it out. Okay? Anyway, we can go right now. This is going to be fun. I want you to turn to Proverbs chapter 26. Proverbs chapter 26. Overcoming slothfulness. Overcoming slothfulness. By the way, I'm just going to tell you this. It's all in the Bible, and I've done some study. I've done some research. These are not original thoughts, but I'm going to tell you this. Every one of us, we're going to get pricked a little bit here tonight. Okay? Slothfulness. Slothfulness. A sloth, Proverbs 26, a sloth is a lazy animal. Okay? A sloth is a lazy animal. So if it's an animal, if God is using that term to people, then I think sloth would be a lazy what? Can you say people? Some of us, in the first verse, when we go, yeah, I know these lazy guys. The first thing about a sloth is they don't think they're slothful. They think everybody else is slothful. Okay? 7 symptoms of a slothful. Look, if you can next week, I'm going to go spend time on overcoming slothfulness. Tonight, we're gonna find out how slothful we are. You know, one of our money problems is we're lazy. I don't mean we, all of us, but I mean anybody. Laziness. Laziness. If I said, well, look, man, I've told men this before. You know what you need to do? Several are good men, and they've done it. I think it was Brother Coomley was one of the first ones. I said, you know what you need to do? You need to get another job. Monday nights and Tuesday nights, deliver pizza for Pizza Hut. Oh, well, yeah, that's my rest night. Like I said, you're a sloth. You can make $12. I think they pay you minimum wage, but they give you tips. Now, I'm not saying forever, but if you're in a financial hole, you might want to go work for Pizza Hut, and you can make about $150 a week. That's about $600 a month, and within a year, you can probably get that credit card debt out of the way. Oh man, that's my TV night. Yeah, sell the TV. That'll help pay for some of the credit card. Okay, Proverbs 26. Look at Proverbs 26. Number 1, a slothful person does not believe he's slothful. A slothful person does not believe he's slothful. By the way, slothful people are not just people that don't work. A lot of slothful people have jobs. And those of you that are bosses and jobs, you're going, you better believe it. Okay? They have to be watched. They are not contributing, and you're afraid to fire them because you might get sued. By the way, the best thing to do is when you're going to hire somebody, just, look at them real well. But slothful people, number 1, they don't think they're slothful. Look at verse 16 of Proverbs 26. The sluggard, what's a sluggard? Again, just look at that slug in front of your yard. It's taken like 10 months to go like 10 feet. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason. Look up here. You know what a sluggard does? A sloth? They're pretty smart. They're always talking. They're always telling you how. Let me make a few thoughts. The sluggard assures you that he would be very willing to work if there were fewer obstacles in his path. He's only waiting for more favorable work conditions. By the way, when I started this church, there were no favorable work conditions. Every building we had big rats. And there was bad neighborhoods, and we couldn't pay the rent, and it was not. By the way, when I first started the church, I was a Bible college graduate. I was a staff member at Hiles Anderson College, and I had also been assistant pastor, started a church. You say, what did you do? Did you have all the support? I had a little support. I mowed lawns. As a young pastor, started this church. I supplemented my income by mowing lawns, and then my dad, he was murdered. And there was actually a workman's comp settlement, and they split it up amongst us kids. And that's when I was able to give up my lawnmower, because I had that, and it got me over the hump. He assures you that he would be very willing to work if there were favorable obstacles fewer obstacles in his path. He's only waiting for more favorable work conditions. In the meantime, he rehearses the reasons why he is unable to begin the project he knows must be done. They lack initiative. Slothful people come on, somebody say amen. They lack creativity. Okay? Dads, rear your sons and your daughters not to be slothful. He reminds himself of, this is good. This is not original. I got this in doing some research. A slothful person reminds himself of studies of overexertion and the false notion that you may ruin your health if you work too hard. They've got those in their files. I just studied. Overwork will hurt you. I've never found a man that died. Now, I've found a couple football players that were like 450 pounds, and the coaches got them running like 25 miles that had a heart attack. But they're getting paid for it. But I've never found a guy that died. How many have you ever met anyone that died of working too hard? Okay. He reminds himself of studies. Of course, now they got all the studies of overexertion and the false notion that you may ruin your health if you work too hard. Poor guy. Number 2, we better get off of that one. A slothful person does not believe he's slothful. Number 2, slothful people make little, soft choices in life. Slothfulness comes on gradually. It happens to normal people who begin making little, soft surrenders in daily decisions. By the way, I want to make soft. I was getting under conviction. We all do. But look, folks, life is not easy. Don't always look for the easy way. These decisions seem totally harmless. You don't need to turn there. Yeah, okay, well, we don't need to turn there. We're going to turn a few other verses. Stay in Proverbs. Proverbs 6, 10, 11. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall they poverty. Can you say poverty? Okay, that's associating with money. Okay, poverty means you're poor. So shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. Soon little choices which are carefully reasoned away become habits. Proverbs 19:15, slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep. Before you were just going like this, now you're in a deep sleep. Before, little sleep, little slumber, little folding of the hands. Now, slothfulness, Proverbs 19:15, casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. So he said, a slothful person doth not believe in he's slothful. Number 2, slothful people make little soft choices. Number 3, you say, well, Pastor, what does slothfulness have to do? You remember all these verses on slothfulness, they have something to do with money. They have something to do with wealth. They have something to do with poverty. Number 3, the slothful man does not value the importance of time or seasons. The sluggard or slothful man is not a self-starter. Look, teach your children, but I'm not only, for all of us, be a self-starter. The reason most people cannot run their own, I am all for having your own business. I am all for it. The reason most people can't have their own business because they don't have someone, whoosh, tsh, you're late again. That's one ding on your whatever. You got to get up on your own. Wake up, get out there, say, I don't have any work. Go find some. I got work. Go work. Okay? Let me say this. Don't get this wrong. I have many vacation days I've never used. So, oh, Pastor, you're the pastor. You ought to take it. And by the way, when that building gets up, I think what I'm going to do is take about a month vacation. Okay? I don't use all my vacation days. The church gives me 3 weeks and personal days and 6 days. I don't know. I don't think I've ever used a sick day. I don't think I've ever used a sick day. Now, I can use all my vacation days. By the way, stinking church, they don't even let my vacation days go over the next year. When my year's over, I lose all of them. Man. I want to say this. It doesn't matter to me. I'm here to work for God. I'm not here to get a vacation. Now, I'll take the vacation, and I'll take a couple days off, and I'll take my family. This past year, I did take 2 weeks with my family. We took off. Slothful people, they just look for a day off and look for an opportunity. No, hey, man, learn to love work. He does not understand the wisdom of time and controls of seasons. The Proverbs 12:24. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Number 4, turn to Proverbs chapter 12. Proverbs chapter 12, number 4. The slothful man does not finish tasks. Proverbs 12, verse 27. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. But please look up here. Picture this. The guy's going hunting, gets him a deer. The slothful guy, he just enjoyed the hunt. He leaves the deer over there. Or he drags it home and it's rotten in his garage because he's too lazy to butcher it. Okay? He is lethargic in most of what he does. If he stumbles on success by accident, by the way, sometimes we hit this good job because the guy that was interviewing us didn't have any sense. And now we got this good job and he doesn't appreciate opportunities. He's lethargic in most of what he does. If he stumbles on success by accident, he does not recognize the value of it. Thus, he allows great opportunities to slip by him. Again, the slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is my friend, Brother Owen's assistant pastor, Craig Bush, he's a hunter. I like him. West Virginia, they hunt. And he said he gets all of his tags, whatever amount of tags, and then his teenage boys. And he said this. He said, Brother Esposito, he said, I never have to buy meat. He said, all the deers we kill, he said, we make sausage. He said, we make deer hamburger meat. He said, we buy no meat all year. You know why? Because he's not slothful. He's learned. He said, oh, well, I don't know how to butcher. Google it. Cut the deer's head off. Throw some salt and pepper on there. Grab yourself an Italian sausage and throw it in that meat and grind it up. You got Italian sausage meat. Figure out how to do it. Well, by the way, cut that out. Nowadays, I don't know. You ought to be able to do anything now. Google it. At our house, everything's, I don't even know, by the way, I don't know how to Google. Every third, Google it. Where's this? Google it. How do you do this? Google it. We have this riverbed over here, and we fight mice. I don't mean fight. Actually, sometimes I feel like I'm fighting them. They come in, they find a way in, and, the traps, man, they pick the traps up and spin them like a ball on their foot, their hand. Yeah. If you use poison, they get stuck in your attic and you smell them. You ever use poison and rats in your? It's like, oh man, what are you gonna do? So you say, so what do? We found out the best way is shoot them with a BB gun. No, I'm just kidding. My wife, I said, Google on what to do, how to take care of, get rid of the rat. We figured something out. It's not working, but it was fun trying. Okay? Each job for a slothful person becomes a mountain in his path, not a door of opportunity. Okay? Look, communist Laos, communist Laos was such a huge mountain because I didn't think you could get in. As soon as I found out that there was one independent Baptist missionary, I said, you know what? It's still going to be a mountain. Let's go for it. Say, what'd you do? We sent Brother Cooley over there. No, it's another opportunity. And there's still hills to climb. We need someone to give it more leadership, but we're getting it started. Okay? We have our little Chinese group over there. Okay? And I talk about that. By the way, when I start talking about something just every once in a while, it might be happening pretty soon. I told my brother, I think today, I said, maybe once we start English schools in Laos as a ministry center, maybe we can start some English schools in China. So, oh, man. Some people, oh, man, that just seems like so much work. Sloth. Anyway. It is work. By the way, work is fun. Somebody lied to you. Ecclesiastes, by the way, even the maintaining of what he has becomes a burden to him. Well, it's not a burden. I got this car, now I got to clean it. Remember how you were looking forward to getting a car one day? Oh, man, everything's a burden. Come on, quit complaining. Ecclesiastes 10:18, by much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. Proverbs 24:30 and 31, I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding, and lo, it was all grown over with thorns, nettles. By the way, I see Chuck Castle over here and John. These guys are workers. These guys are workers. Okay, they're not extravagant. I've never been to their house, but people have told me they're not necessarily clean freaks, and they're just workers. They're just workers. They're good workers. Okay. I like Chuck out on the, now Brother Ratana and Brother Albert, because they have to deal with all the volunteers. You got to sort of be nice to volunteers because, you're not paying them. But I like when Chuck's out there. He's like, he told me, he said, I had a meeting with the guys today. Some of the teenagers. And he met with them. He said, hey, look, guys, come over here. I know you're not getting paid a penny. Something like this. This is a revised version. He said, but look, you realize one of these days you're going to be looking for a job someday, and you're coming out here and you guys are, throwing rocks and squirting each other with hoses, and he's going, look, man, there's these guys around, they're going to recommend a job, and he's going through the whole thing. I'm like, hey, Chuck, can you come out there every day? I went by the field of the slothful and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding, and lo, it was all grown over with thorns and nettles, and covered the face thereof and the stone wall thereof. Number 5, we're almost done. The slothful people live in a world of wishful thinking. They're dreamers, man. They're always, one of these days, today is that day. You were talking about this day 3 years ago. One of these days, hey, let's get it started. Okay, now we talk and we pray, but if there's a time to pull the trigger. Okay, everybody says, well, it might take a long time. I know it takes a long time, but you got to start somewhere. You say, well, I don't know. Some of you single guys. You say, what do you do to get ready for marriage? Be a man of God, prepare to be a loving husband, and learn how to work, and God will send you a gal. Well, I'm just praying for the best one. She ain't coming your way. The slothful people live in a world of wishful thinking. By the way, we got some really good, I like these single, I got 2 single guys in the front row. That's good signs right there. 4. Jed, you're single, aren't you? Good. Your mom said if not, she's going to knock your block off. When the sluggard or slothful is not taking it easy, he's desiring to do things and getting things. I'm going to give you the verse in a minute. Matter of fact, turn to Proverbs 21. By the way, some young men are sloths because they didn't have a father to teach them to work. They're watching movies and talking about everybody getting rich and everybody pulling in, with a new car, and no one ever taught them to work. Says, you know what? You know how that guy got that car? He worked. Or his dad worked. Okay? The slothful people live in a world of wishful thinking. When the sluggard or slothful is not taking it easy, he's desiring to do things and get things. Listen to this. The tension, this is not original. The tension between his restless mind and his inactive body produces destructive frustration. Do you get that? The tension between his restless mind, sloths aren't always dumb people. Sometimes they're real smart. The tension between his restless mind and his inactive body produces destructive frustration. Look at Proverbs 21, verse 25. The desire of the slothful killeth him. It doesn't physically kill him. In other words, I want to do this. Oh, I could do this. I'm going to do this. It frustrates him because he ain't doing anything. He just talks about it. And he thinks about it. And he dreams about it. By the way, it's okay to dream, but put some at least baby steps. Okay? How do you need an elephant? One bite at a time, but you got to get the spoon out and dig into that big thing. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. He coveteth greedily all the day long, but the righteous giveth and spareth not. Number 6, we're almost done. A slothful person is a liability to his employer. He is not productive, but is often destructive. Slothful people are often skilled, but because maybe a parent trained them or a school trained them, but they lack initiative, they lack diligence, they lack follow-through, and they become costly to a company. Often, employees transfer a slothful person to a different department. Then the boss figures out that it wasn't the leader in that department or the lack of skills on the slothful person. It was his laziness that made him unproductive. Look at Proverbs 10 real fast. One more verse in Proverbs 10. Again, a slothful person is a liability to his employer or his boss. Proverbs 10:26. As vinegar to the teeth. You say, what's vinegar to the teeth? It's just not good. See, I've never tried it, but I guess God's using it as a negative comparison here. As vinegar to the teeth and as smoke to the eyes. You ever go to a campfire and smoke's getting in your eyes and oh, man. Okay, well, let's look on. As vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him. Oh, man, I can't believe I got this guy messing the whole thing up. Now what am I going to do? Fire him? He's going to call the NAACP on me? Well, I know what I'm going to do. ACLU is going to come out here and sue us. Okay, Department of, labor laws are going to come and say, well, why'd you sue him? He's lazy. Well, we're going to sue you. Okay? A slothful person is a liability to his employer. Number 7, slothful people are victims of self-induced fears. they always got an excuse. This is sort of funny. Proverbs 22. It's not funny, but it's sad, so we need to laugh so we don't cry. Proverbs 22. Slothful people are victim of self-induced fears. Proverbs 22, verse 13. Proverbs 22, verse 13. The slothful man saith, there is a lion without. There's no lions around. You see what they're saying? The slothful man saith, there's a lion without. I shall be slain in the streets. He's just an excuse. It's always, if we do that, we might get hurt. Come on. It's all right. Slothfulness results in fears, which are then reinforced by more slothfulness. He then begins to make excuse and blames others and circumstances for their failure. Number 8, we got 2 more and we're done. A slothful man has a hard life with little to show for it. By the way, a diligent man may have hard times, but has much to show for it. Proverbs 10:4, he becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. I'm not talking about being a rich person, but you have more than what you need. Proverbs 15:19, the way of the slothful man is an hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain. Proverbs 12:24, the hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Proverbs 12:27, we just read that. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. Number 9, A slothful man gets started often as a young person. Please get this. A slothful man often gets started as a young person. You say, why? Because most of us, we are who we were as a young person. Brother Coomley called me once. He said, Pastor, I just listened to a phenomenal message on the radio. I should have said, who are you listening to? On inheritance. On inheritance. And for some reason, he wanted to tell me about it. I don't know if we had talked about it before. And I said, get it for me. He ordered it for me. It was a tape at that time. I listened to it. It was great. And really, the thrust of it is inheritance hurts children more often than it helps. Because, by the way, for example, this is what they're saying. It usually doesn't hurt an adult much. Okay? It hurts the next generation. You say, why? Let's say I inherited $1 million. By the way, if you inherit $1 million, God expects you to be a good steward of that. Oh, this is no, it's not. It's God's money. He gave it to you. He's entrusted it to you. But what happens if I inherited, let's say I inherited, $2 million. I had some long-lost uncle, and, he didn't know what to do with his money. He died. And he left me in his will. What happens when you get money easily, you don't work hard. Guess what? Do you know what this boy needed to see me do? And by the way, my boys are good workers. They really are. They're good workers. Joseph's on our staff. God bless his wife. Every once in a while I say, you have a wife at home now. You need to take care. And he doesn't neglect his wife. Robert already said he'd shoot at him. Okay. But my boys, they're always working. Always working. One reason is because they saw their dad always working. If I inherited $2 million, guess what? Vacation. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. And these boys aren't learning how to work. Okay? And so, hey, Dad, don't say, well, man, my kids, they want to have fun. Look, it's okay to have a little fun, but life is not going to be all fun. Okay? Well, I'm afraid I might. Look, my boys, they work. We kid around. My kids, it's either work or it's clean or it's work. Now, we have some fun. We do things together as a family. We go on vacation. We do things. But we don't all just lay around. Hey, now, every once in a while, Nathaniel will talk. He's pretty consistent. He talks me into watching Leave It to Beaver. Okay? We'll do that. 20 minutes, Leave It to Beaver. We have it online. Throw a little Leave It to Beaver. But a slothful man often gets started as a young person. He was not taught to work. He had too much done for him. Sometimes his parents had it easy, an easy life because of an inheritance. That's it. Pastor, what's the point? How'd that have to do with money? Money should always be associated with work. Even if you have the money, say, well, Pastor, I have the money. Why should I have my children work for it? Because they need to associate money with work. Because one of these days, when they get a little older, there's not going to be mom or dad to give them. By the way, there are kids all over this country. Every time they're in a bind, they're 30 years old. Mom, I'm not calling my mom if I'm 30 for money. I'm selling candy. I'm collecting bottles. I'm not calling my mommy. Okay? Now, why? I'll tell you this. We've preconditioned our children every time they got a problem, come to mom. Let's teach them how to work. Give them some work ethic. You say, well, Pastor, I don't want them working. You let them work, and you say, I got the money. You let them work in your house. Clean I don't got a backyard. Clean the roof. Clean the attic. You say, it doesn't need clean. Attics always need clean. They're dusty up there. Yeah. By the way, we don't have a lot. We have a few widows in our church. You can go to their house, clean a neighbor. Let's stand together, and let's bow our heads for just a moment.